Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Monday the 8th of May 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed up 0.8% today to 7,277 points. Wall Street's strong performance over the weekend provided a good lead-in, and many of the top stocks did pretty well. BHP was up 1.5%, Fortescue Metals jumped 2%, and Rio Tinto closed 2.5% higher. All the banks rebounded. Westpac announced a $4 billion half-year profit and its share price rose 2%. NAB was up 2.3% and Commonwealth Bank rose 1%. Macquarie Group was among the worst performers, falling more than 2%, while Woolworths was off 1.3%. Lithium stocks did pretty well today. The mood is turning on the price of the metal, which has fallen about 70% this year so far. Core Lithium led the way with its share price jumping 7% today. Story number 2, investment analysts are upgrading their profit forecasts for both Woodside and Santos after the government limited the increase of the Petroleum Resources Rent Tax in tomorrow night's budget. Treasury has recommended a plan which caps gas producers' tax deductions alongside tougher tax compliance measures. That's likely to raise $2.4 billion over the next 4 years. Other options could have potentially raised much more money. So investors today were pretty relieved with the news, pushing Australia's largest oil and gas company, that's Woodside, up 3%. Santos jumped 2%. Story number 3, new housing approvals fell in March, with private sector home approvals 15% lower than a year ago. That's bad news for the construction sector and, of course, tradies out there who are already struggling with rising prices and slowing demand. The trend in approvals has been sliding for 6 months, and during March there were some big drops in Tasmania, South Australia and Queensland. Western Australia was the standout state after a big rise in approvals. New South Wales and Victoria were also slightly positive. Staying with the Bureau of Statistics, the number of new owner-occupied first home buyers jumped 16% in March after reaching a 5-year low the previous month. They're still about 22% lower than a year earlier. Story number 4, rare earths miner Lynas has lost its appeal in Malaysia against new rules which will force it to move all refining of radioactive materials offshore. But Lynas did have something of a win, with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim confirming that the Australian Rare Earths Group will have an extra 6 months to comply with the new licence conditions at its Malaysian rare earths plant. That was enough to send the miner's share price up 12% today, the best of the top 200. Lynas said it will pursue further legal avenues for review, adding it had made significant investments in its Malaysian facility and it wants to be treated fairly and equitably as a significant employer and contributor to the Malaysian economy. And story number 5, Russia has started evacuating hundreds of civilians from occupied areas in southeastern Ukraine, including families with children, from a town housing workers at Europe's largest nuclear power plant. The evacuations that started over the weekend come as Russian officials accuse Ukraine of stepping up drone strikes on its territory and in Russian-occupied Crimea, according to the Financial Times. Russia, in turn, has in recent weeks increased its own drone and missile attacks on Ukrainian cities. The partial evacuation of 18 frontline settlements is officially due to increased fighting in the area, but analysts are worried it has something to do with the nuclear power plant, which Russia has controlled since March last year. More than 1,500 people, including 632 children, have so far been relocated from 2 frontline cities and 5 districts. That's it for the afternoon report for Monday, the 8th of May, 2023. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning with the Tuesday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.